What? It's my favorite time of the year.
Were you a big
It's my favorite
report
time of the
card
year.
guy? You're a big report card guy?
I'm a big report card guy.
Mhm.
Mostly, though, big I want to judge people guy. And
Yeah,
my
you
favorite part of
you
the
are
year
judgy.
is when we get to judge the drivers of the Cup season previous. And that's where we're at today, folks. And I'm excited. Are you guys excited to judge some people today?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome to Fake Racers
Everyone.
Podcast, everyone. Video only this week on Track and Turf. I'm Joe.
I'm Davey.
I'm Matthew.
And I'm Davey.
And I'm Joe. And we're so glad you're joining us this week for our season finale of the Fake Racers Podcast. What will you do without us? Well, you go watch Oofsides over here on Track and Turf. Because you won't be without Matt. That's right.
Hell yeah.
Peru.
Go watch
Oofsides,
Oofsides. Go
baby.
listen to Oofsides.
Plenty of me during the off season.
You'll be without Bristol, though.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's the true pup that gets everyone going. Is right now getting forehead pats.
What does he do?
He gets everyone going.
Right.
Yeah. All the
Uh-huh.
all the bitches swoon over Bristol. So, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Daniel Hemrick had a lackluster year in the number 31 for colleague racing.
Womp womp. What did he do? Nothing. Put him in. F tier feels harsh, but really, what did he do? What did he do?
What did colleague
Yeah.
do?
I was gonna
What did
say,
Colin
like,
do? But
a truly invisible year, like, didn't
Hey.
do anything good, but didn't do anything bad either.
He traded
Just
helmets with
there.
Jimmy Johnson at Phoenix.
It's something. So I don't
for
know. I
what
mean,
it's- I don't know, man.
is about what I expected.
I think you got to put him in D.
Yeah, I was thinking D because like
He did
I feel like F tier.
underperform. F tier is for like if you really underperform. I feel
Yeah,
like, right?
like he performed exactly as expected. I think that's the best way to describe it.
wow, look at that. One on the board already. No arguments from me. All right. Next on the list, Zade Smith, rookie year, third Spire car.
I do think this one's interesting because he got very good at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see if
Think
I
there
can
was any
find-
pressure on him to do a little bit better
You might be right.
after he
I tell
lost
you
his
what,
ride halfway through the year and then lost his developmental deal with Trackhouse on top?
you might be right. But he really did. He really did start performing near the end of the year. What am I? I'm looking for something here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
didn't have a
see.
top 10 all year until Nashville.
Where he finished
which was-
second.
Yeah, which was the
Yep.
first race of the second half of the season, and then reeled off 4 top 10s, a bunch of top 20s. Like, really only one bad race, and that was Phoenix, which he wrecked. So
Yeah, I
very
do think
weird
we have to
season.
put him in D tier though because he really was not good for a majority of the season.
He's ahead of Daniel Hemrick,
despite
though,
turning it
right?
up. I would
Yeah.
put him ahead of Hemrick. Yeah.
higher highs for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he had started the year the way he had finished, definitely would have been maybe middle C tier. So
Middle, upper C tier, yeah, because
Yeah.
it was pretty solid.
Okay. All right. Well, his teammate over there at Spire, Carson Hocevar, I think kind of fits into that solid all year category, and then even then turned it up in the second half of the year.
oh yeah.
I think it was a really strong season for Carson. As far as grade goes, this is where the kicker comes in. I mean,
Still
I
a
think
menace
there's
on
an
the
argument.
racetrack. Still a menace on the racetrack.
Still a
Yeah.
menace on the racetrack, and I think that keeps him from being B tier.
Mm.
If he does less of that, I think he maybe steps into B tier, maybe at the tail end. But
I think we'll
I
probably
think-
at the end of this, he'll be either top of C or bottom of B.
right,
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, is
Yeah.
he's got to be at the bottom of B or top of C because
We want
like
to.
Spire had very big ambitions this year, and you could say that Carson is the one who realized them the most. But there were still those moments where it was like, "What are we doing here, dude?"
classic Carson,
Yeah,
which is
I'll,
not a
I'll
good thing.
concede C tier because I wanted to put him in B tier, but I'll concede C tier.
yeah. I mean, if we can always move stuff later as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nope, we're locked in forever.
We're going to fly through these tonight, folks. That's how you know it's the end of the year and we don't like each other anymore.
What? What?
You know who didn't like his team anymore? Justin Haley, because he left them.
Which he ran worse after he left.
So that's the thing.
like,
I want to put him in B tier. Now he's going to be towards the back of B tier. Because everyone was clowning on him for making the move to Rick Ware Racing. But arguably, he was just as good as the RFK cars. Like, at least 50% of the time. 50% of the time. Not the whole, not every week.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I feel like being as good as the RFK cars half the time when you're in the Rick Ware car.
11 top 20s and 29 races. Just counting that up. He had 3 top 10s in the 51 until they got DQ'd at Coda. But weirdly, like, he moved to the 7 car and he had a 7th at Talladega and a 17th at Vegas, and everything else was 26th or worse. So he was arguably better in the 51.
He was. It's really weird.
Yeah.
His run at Bristol was the first Bristol was really fantastic. Obviously, ended up with a blown tire at the end of that one, like a lot of folks did. But like, he was like in the top 5 on speed there.
Mm.
God,
I'm putting him in B tier.
I think relative to the equipment, B tier makes sense. He'll probably be bottom of B tier though.
Yes, like I think he's ahead of Hocevar, right?
The only thing about that is Hocevar finished 10 spots ahead of him in points. And they were teammates at the end, and Hocevar smoked him at the end of the year.
Good point.
But to Justin Haley's credit, he was working with a crew chief he had never worked for those last 7 weeks as well, and Hocevar had a whole season working with the same crew chief.
Yeah.
So, you guys both make such compelling arguments.
And
gotta
also,
throw everything out there.
I would argue that the Rick Ware car that he was driving for most of the year was much worse than the car that Hocevar was in, which was arguably Spire's 1A car, let's say.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's so tough. Yeah.
God, when you get to these groups of drivers, it really is so hard to compare everybody because there are so many examples back and forth. And we run into this every year where we're gonna make this decision. I am okay with keeping Justin Haley bottom of B tier, but we're gonna make this decision, and it's gonna throw a wrench in grades that we make in like 3 or 4 drivers guaranteed. Like there's just no way that we don't come back to this thing like, why do we do that? There's no way.
I think the other thing too with Haley is like how much of us grading him on a curve for Rick Ware is based off expectations, because like the 15 was decent with Gralla for the majority of this year too.
Yeah,
like he didn't have the same highs, but they were like regularly a top 25 car, I feel like. So I think there are definitely like lower expectations for Rick Ware, so I think that definitely does boost Haley. But it's really close between he and Hocevar for me.
Oof.
Will he replace Alex Bowman next year? After next year?
No.
Have you guys seen what Carson Hocevar has been tweeting the last few days?
Yes, I have.
What?
He just keeps tweeting pictures of his car on track next to different Hendrick cars with no caption. So knowing him, he's just trolling people, but it would be really funny if it was something coded. So
Carson Hocevar takes over for Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson just goes to dirt race the rest of his life.
He's going to IndyCar.
He's done with this NASCAR crap. This NAS crap. All right. Let's put him in B. We can always move him back to C.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Because B, I have a feeling B is usually where we get kind of crowded, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because we're too positive. Yeah. Oh, he's got an Uncrustable.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. That's the choice of NFL players. Corey LaJoie got fired from his ride after intentionally wrecking Kyle Busch, pretty much.
This one is truly bizarre, right? Because if you're to go based off of expectations in the first half of his year, F tier, right? Like, because they had speed and Corey just could not stop getting into trouble. And then in the second half of the year, he actually started putting in... Yeah, he started putting together good finishes, and then he went to the 51 and was genuinely very good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I don't know how to rate this one. I really don't.
It's so interesting, right? Because every year we think like Corey LaJoie kind of had that season that's like the precipice of okay, now he's going to do something good. Like I don't think like I know it's fun to crap on Corey LaJoy. I know he's done a lot of things to give us reason to crap on him. But he's actually like not a half bad driver, and he did kind of help bring Spire to where it is now, where Spire is on the precipice of doing something special with their teams and whatnot. But then you look at Corey LaJoy this year, and it feels like he unlearned a lot of things. I feel like the pressure of having a young hotshot like Carson Hocevar got to him a lot, which led to a lot of really dumb mistakes that he made continuously. And I want to clarify that while I'm not going up to bat for Corey LaJoy, I do not think he is bad as he actually I don't think he's as bad as he's shown this past season. That said, this past season was horrible.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes of his own doing continuously. And I think for that, I do think we have to put him at the top of F tier.
Yeah, and because I remember us talking about through the first half of last year, we were actually praising him a ton, and I just looked at it. He had 12 top 20 finishes through the first half of last year. Literally at 2/3 rate of being in the top 20. And then it fell apart down the end of the year, and it was a disaster this year. And I've been maintaining this whole time, like, Corey LaJoy has talent. I think he needs that veteran teammate that he's never had. He needs like a coach, basically. And like you said, I think the pressure of being the guy on this ascending team that they're essentially been building around you for 4 years, I think it got to him this year. Yep. And the move to the 51 team and kind of the realization that he wasn't going to be back is really when he shaped up and started putting together some genuinely great runs at Darlington and Watkins Glen. And like we mentioned, like, I think it was Coda this year, he qualified second and then wrecked it on the first lap. Like, yeah, stuff like that was Corey's kryptonite all year, where it seemed like he had all the tools to take advantage of it and never did.
People love to talk about like the distractions that a race car driver faces, and I feel like a lot of that is just kind of like talking points for the sake of talking points. Like I think a lot of drivers are really good at shutting out that noise. Corey LaJoy is not that guy. Corey LaJoy is going to let that get to him.
He very much invites it too.
And he does. Yeah. And even if he doesn't realize that it negatively affects him, he does invite it, and he does make comments, and he does speak out. And it's usually to his detriment, because when he's focused on driving a race car, which I'm sure getting fired from your job and being sent to Rick Ware Racing and like having to do that mental reset, which I'm sure that is why he did so much better there. Like,
oh yeah,
there's just so much noise. I didn't realize I was going to go on a soliloquy about Corey LaJoy, but I just really think there's like he is more than this season. I know he's made a lot of mistakes, even in seasons prior, but he's shown like these glimmers of like a driver that is at least competent, like a solid mid-pack Cup driver. And this past season just tarnished so much of his reputation. I hope he does get another shot, but yeah, I can't give him anything better than F this year.
And to kind of put a bow on this whole thing, a thing I think that said a lot was after he got released, or after it was announced he wasn't going to be back in the 7. There's a clip of Denny Hamlin talking about it, and despite their issues, Denny was saying like, "Go win." And because we all know you can drive. And the thing he pointed out is he was like, when Corey was coming up through the ranks, look at the guys he was racing and beating every week. It was Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney. And look where all of those guys are, and look where Corey is. He has the talent to do it. It's just a matter of him doing it. So, yeah.
All right.
And I think it was important to go deep on Corey LaJoy, too, since he was kind of like a main character of FRP this year with how much we talked about him. So,
really good way to put it, actually.
One guy I feel like we never talked about this year, Michael McDowell.
Fell off.
Yeah.
He had a really good season in 2023 and didn't make any noise at all this season.
Yeah, if it weren't for Talladega, I think we probably would have never noticed him.
Where does that put him?
I mean, he was fine. He finished right behind Carson Hocevar in points. But compared to expectations, it was a little disappointing.
C or D?
I think C. Oh, really? Okay.
I was
Well-
leaning D too, just because
Yeah, again.
there's playoff expectations, right?
That's true, yeah.
You're made a big deal about wanting a long-term contract, so that's why you left your team that you got to the playoffs, and you've arguably helped build into a contender. And you weren't able to perform at that same level that you have the last few years, actually. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 2022 was a better year statistically, I feel like, for the 34 team than 2023, despite them making the playoffs at one and not the other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like D is a fair grade. I think at the end of this, we'll say he's probably towards the top of D.
I agree. It's
But-
another cusper.
I wanna-
It's interesting because his stats are almost identical to what they were last year, but it is, they didn't get that win to get into the playoffs, and I think that's a big part of it.
Mhm.
So
That's a good point.
His teammate Todd Gilliland, the Todd father, as it were.
Mm.
I feel like he performed. I think he ended up finishing ahead of McDowell in the points.
yep,
Nice.
one spot ahead of him, 21st
Wow.
and 22nd.
So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he belongs in C because I feel like our expectations for Todd were a little bit lower than Michael. And
Yes.
That makes sense. I don't really have much to say about Todd. I think he's a capable driver.
he keeps getting better every year.
He does.
Yeah,
Which
he
I
had a
think
good year.
it's very
He
important.
reeled off 9 straight top 20s in the middle of the season when he was
Mm.
still hanging around as a playoff contender.
hmm
Much like, and this happens a lot with these guys who kind of hang around, and then once the playoffs start, the cream rises to the top because they didn't have much of note after.
The guys that are
Michigan.
allowed to cheat get to the front.
Basically, yeah.
Wait, did I say that? Whoops, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first year I think we've ever seen the 34 and the 38 like truly be on the same level.
Yeah,
But this really comes down to expectations. Like, we expect Michael McDowell to be a playoff
the
contender.
veteran. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I'm looking at his stats right now, and he really did have like a really good run of races, basically up until the playoffs, where it kind of dropped off a little bit.
yeah.
Slightly better than I thought he had personally. So I do think C fits for him.
first SHR driver that'll be at FRM next year. It's Noah Gregson. Where does Noah fit? Because last year he was way down here, and I feel like this year he
Yes.
definitely belongs more here in the C.
Yeah,
Had some
I
good
think-
runs.
think he's a solid C.
I think he's ahead of Todd, but behind Carson.
I can agree with that because I think he had pretty good high moments.
Didn't have too many lows either. I feel like he didn't have his Noah
Nothing-
Gregson bonehead moment this year.
He definitely didn't, but he did have some absolutely atrocious runs here and there.
So did
which
most of the SHR.
It feels like SHR was capable of doing that every week, no matter
Yeah.
what. Didn't
Yeah.
matter who the driver was.
Yeah, 23 top 20s on the season.
Solid.
Atlanta, Talladega, and Roval were his only non-top 20s in the playoffs. Honestly, I think right there is perfect because
Perfect.
obviously he's not above Hocevar,
Mhm.
but in terms of expectations, like we didn't expect much from Stewart Haas or Gregson, and so
Mhm.
I think that's a perfect spot right there in the middle of C.
Okay. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won at Talladega, photo finish. Got in a fight with Kyle, or sucker punch Kyle Busch, the All Star race.
I'm trying to remember what he did this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah.
Finished. He ended with a barely higher average finish than Austin Dillon, who I think by all accounts had a horrible season.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Who's next on this list, by the way?
Who is next? And they'll probably go right goddamn next to each other.
I don't think
solidly
so.
in D tier.
I would put Stenhouse behind McDowell, but above Zane and Hemrick. Or would you
Yeah,
put
I
him
think
ahead of
that feels-
McDowell because he won? Because he won.
No,
I think-
I'd put him below McDowell, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I
All right,
think
that's fair.
we keep him below McDowell.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So let's go to that next driver.
Well, before we move on, it is really funny to think about that Ricky Stenhouse's won races 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
And
Think about how many
Kyle Busch
drivers
hasn't.
didn't win a race the last. Yeah, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, a list of people who haven't done that.
Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski.
Just horrific.
Ty Gibbs just hasn't won a race.
Yeah.
All
Oh
right.
my
my
god.
gosh.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon. I'm sorry.
wow.
I'm executive decision. Worst driver
Yeah.
of the year.
I was gonna agree with that. Yeah. I mean,
he won a race, kind of.
it just
Kind
takes
of.
me back to what we said after Richmond, where it sucks so bad that race ended that way, because that was genuinely the best drive of his Cup Series career.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And then he just completely blew it in two corners.
He threw all the goodwill that I was about to have for him away. It was great.
Yeah.
It was because like I was gonna be like, you know what, hey, this is the way the system is, and at least he's not winning on a super speedway like Harrison Burton did, right? Like
Yeah.
he went out there, he took the playoff field by the balls and said, "I'm in." So, you know what? Power to him. And then, yeah, he did that off of turn 4.
And then to just put a little more on top, had to be one of the blockers at Martinsville also.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Also won that race on speed that was given to them by the stolen data that they got from
Allegedly.
My
Alright.
apologies.
RCR was in a blender this year, let me tell
What
you.
a year.
The other guy over there in the equation, Kyle Busch, his worst year of his Cup Series career. About midway through the year, there were rumblings that he was going to take over for Alex Bowman that were not substantiated by any evidence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Besides
Don't even remember hearing that.
besides Kyle Busch saying, "Yeah, I'd love to drive the 48 car." So
I'm sure most people would, by the way.
His stretch of 7 races from Gateway to Indian, or sorry, 8 races from Gateway to Indy.
we were
is
there for that one.
Truly abysmal.
Trust me, we were there for Indy.
Yeah. 35th at Gateway, which I'm pretty sure he was right up there at the end. 12th at Sonoma, 35th at Iowa, 35th at New Hampshire, 27th at Nashville. I remember that race getting spun out from the top 5 on the second to last restart. 9th at Chicago, 32nd at Pocono, 25th at Indy. Like,
And a
that
lot
is-
of those not necessarily of his own doing.
Oh, but
yeah,
some
it
of
was
them were.
genuine. Yeah, a couple.
Some of them were.
Like, Kyle wasn't his sharpest this year, but that stretch, it genuinely felt like he just had like a cartoon anvil over his head the whole time. It was absurd how everything would always go wrong for them at the end.
Yeah, I love Kyle, but he's one of the most talented drivers in the sport, and he did win some races last year. RCR isn't good. They weren't good last year. They definitely weren't good this year. But you do have higher expectations for him, and I really hate to do this, but I do think he had a D tier season.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with saying. Now, where does he go in D tier? Because again, Kyle Busch's expectations are A, right?
Yeah.
I'd put him right above Ricky Stenhouse just to piss him off. There we go.
Fair enough.
Perfect.
All right. Ross Chastain, the guy that I picked to win the championship this year, did not even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Strange year.
Rough season for them.
Yeah.
They were top 12 in points all year. That doesn't matter,
they
of
were.
course. They
Right.
won at Kansas late in the year. I feel like you have to put them in C at a minimum because they won a race and they were still strong. But whereas I feel like they were in that A, B tier the last 2 years, they definitely were not there.
I feel like
Yeah.
if they had the same season but made the playoffs, they would probably jump to like B.
Yeah.
But because they didn't,
So does
I
that
don't
put them at
disagree
top of
that they're
C?
C tier. I think above Carson because he did win a race
Yeah.
and he had some pretty good runs, but besides that, ended
Mm-hmm.
up with an average finish that wasn't so bad. But
Yeah,
end of the
same number
day.
of top 10s too. But
Yeah.
they also had a lengthy,
Bad.
kind of weird stretch
spell.
last year too.
Yeah. Okay. His teammate Daniel Suarez, of course, won a photo finish at Atlanta. Didn't do a lot. After that, did make it out of the first round of the playoffs, though.
I was gonna say they actually did start the playoffs quite well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would want to put Daniel in B.
I think behind Justin Haley or
That's fair.
Yeah,
probably behind Justin Haley.
that feels right for me. So
Okay.
he was okay.
He was okay.
A solid year.
He was average.
I think he had
Yeah.
the kind of year that he would have liked to have had going into it knowing that he was more or less
Well, he
like
kept
kind
his
of
ride, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
like I know
Yeah.
Justin Marks made a whole hullabaloo about, like, oh, this win doesn't change our plans. He's still going to be our driver. He was always going to be our driver, but I feel like it did. Or else you wouldn't have had, or you wouldn't have put Zane Smith to a development contract,
Yeah.
knowing that you're also going to be bringing SVG along.
Yep.
For sure.
You sure as hell ain't getting rid of Ross Chastain. Bubba Wallace, again, solid year, no wins, didn't make the playoffs this year.
And
This
he
one's
had
tough.
he had a good year, like mostly like
I mean, kind of the same boat that Chastain and Buescher were in, where he was a fringe top 10 car in points all year, but because they never finished one of those races, they don't make the playoffs, and that makes things look worse. And I think it doesn't help, too, that it's 2 straight winless seasons now.
And your teammate was in the Final Four.
Yeah, and the expectation is go win races.
yeah, and you make a good point, Matthew, about that group of drivers, like those fringe guys. They will probably all end up next to each other on this list because they all had about the same exact season.
Yeah.
Ross just ended up winning a race.
Literally looking at it right now, Ross Chastain, 1 win, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s. Bubba Wallace, 0 wins, 6 top 5s, 14 top 10s. The only difference is a win.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Chris Buescher, 1 win, 6 top 5s, 15 top 10s.
Yeah, so like
They had the same season.
I think that you have to put at that point. I think you just have to go tiebreakers. It has to go Buescher, Chastain, Wallace, all right next to each other.
So I do want to make the argument that Chris Buescher probably could have won 2 more races.
Oh yeah, like deeply unlucky to not be in the playoffs.
I feel like Bubba probably had race winning speed several times.
Okay,
too.
race winning speed and being in position to win a race and getting taken out are 2 different things.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair. I'll give you that.
We'll skip Tyler Reddick. We'll do Tyler Reddick next. Let's talk about Chris Buescher then.
Yeah.
Since we're just going to talk about these guys together.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the best of the bunch for sure. But does he hop up into B tier?
No.
that one's tough, man.
I feel he does. And again, it goes back to lost in the closest finish ever at Kansas, got taken out by Tyler Reddick at Darlington.
Yeah, but he still underperformed compared to last year. In my opinion.
Was this year the norm or was last year the norm?
I think this year is probably the norm because they went from like fringe playoff contender to dark horse title favorite. Yeah, 2 fewer top 10s, 3 fewer top 5s. I think top of C tier, but like the lines are so blurry between B and C at this point.
Was he better than Daniel Suarez this year?
That's the tough part, right?
Because if you can make an argument that he should at least be in B. But if you can't make that argument, then he needs to be in C. Right?
It almost feels like we should swap the 2 of them. Because the difference is like Daniel Suarez wins in one of the closest photo finishes ever, and he's in B tier. Buescher loses the closest photo finish ever, and he's in C tier.
Davey, what say you?
Trying to work it out, man. Because on one hand, I feel like
Suarez needs to be in B. But my point is just, if you can argue that Buescher is better than Suarez, he needs to at least be in B.
Yeah.
I think here's my thing: I think that Chris Buescher got outperformed by Brad Keselowski by and large.
Okay.
I think Ross Chastain. I don't want to. I don't
Ross
know if he
Chastain
really
did
got
outperform
outperformed by
Daniel Suarez. He did, though.
right. Normally, yeah.
And again, it's just about the way this format is, where it pays more to outperform in bigger moments than it does to outperform consistently, right? That's the whole argument with that we talked about playoffs last week.
Yeah.
I'm okay with leaving Buescher in C. It's fine. Not gonna argue too much. Just wanted to food for thought.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a toughie. That is a toughie.
You could almost make an argument that you move that entire trio up into B above of Suarez.
Genuinely, they could go into B. I wouldn't even be bothered.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna leave him in C.
All right.
We'll leave him in C. It's okay.
Man, that's toughy.
Tyler Reddick, he's at least an A, so I'll put him
Yeah.
there.
At least.
Does he rise to S?
So
I don't think he rises to S personally.
I was doing this thought experiment earlier because I was trying to think of like who all are we going to put in S, because there were so many really good drivers, but all of them had a weird stretch where they were invisible. And I think Reddick, I mean, no, he made the Final Four, but Reddick's playoffs were not good.
Mm-mm.
And I think that is a knock against him. I mean, they were on the fringe of not making it past the round of 12, and then we're not going to make it past the round of 8 until the final corners at Homestead. So I think when you come into the season finale or into the playoffs like that as the regular season champion, the fact that they didn't show up is a big knock on them. It reminded me a lot of Truex last year.
No, I'm okay. As long as we can say he's an A.
Yeah,
good.
he's in A tier. I mean, Tyler Reddick was one of if not the best drivers this last season, but they really did kind of end that great season on a whimper, despite making the Final Four.
Okay.
Yeah, he stays an A for me for those reasons. I agree.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski. I will abstain from this conversation.
Bottom
Okay.
of B. Maybe not very bottom. Ahead of Daniel Suarez, I think.
I feel like I never really saw Brad this year. He just kind of like snuck into 9th place every week, it felt like.
He did kind of do that.
Yeah.
Because he ended up with several more top 5s, but this one less top 10 than Chris Buescher. And obviously one when it mattered.
When Chris Buescher got taken out.
When Chris Buescher got, you're right. That's a fair point.
Ended that long winless streak. Yeah.
Got the 6 back in victory lane.
Yeah, and plus I think people probably would have assumed that Chris Buescher was going to handle Brad Keselowski quite well, and he didn't. And I think that maybe works in the, Brad Keselowski probably had lower expectations, not by much, but by a little bit heading into this season.
I did not realize Brad had as good of a start to the season as he did. All the top 5s he had.
Yeah. He was like 30th in points after the first 2 races, though.
Yeah. 33rd at Daytona and Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
And 33rd at Coda.
It was a pretty rough start. Their reportedly new teammate next year, and the worst kept secret in the history of North American motorsports, Ryan Preece. How does this man keep getting decent rides? My question.
Has he gotten a decent ride yet?
I don't know. I feel like he's gotten rides that are above what he should be getting. How about that? Is that fair?
I don't agree with that at all.
Okay. You don't think Justin Haley was more deserving of being in a third RFK car this year?
Justin Haley probably was a little bit more deserving this year, yeah. I disagree still with what you're saying, though, because what you're saying isn't that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Preece has a better, lower series record than Justin Haley does.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that definitely gives him a big boost. I'm not down and out
6
on
years
Preece.
removed from it, but whatever.
Stewart-Haas, I mean, everybody knows how much of a mess they've been. It was a better year than last year, stat-wise, but they finished worse in points, so I don't know.
Is he behind Noah?
I think he's behind Noah. Noah had higher highs, and Ryan Preece, he definitely had his moments for sure, but you got to finish out those moments, and I will concede that he definitely did not finish out those moments. He was running well at Phoenix and had an issue that brought out that yellow.
Where is he in D tier then?
I'm thinking maybe between Kyle and Stenhouse.
That's a pretty dangerous place to be.
I was gonna say, I was gonna put him behind Stenhouse just to keep him out of that. You know what I
mean? He's waving him by. Just go. Just go.
Okay. That's fair.
It was very clear that he was their lowest priority by the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Far and away.
Crew chief left too to go over to this next team, Legacy Motor Club.
Hey, at least he's not hired as a crew chief there. He's hired as something else.
True.
And a lot of people didn't read the article to bother to understand that.
At least Well, I mean, maybe both Legacy Motor Club cars are going to have to stop for 4 tires every pit stop now. I don't know.
I paid for all the tires. I'm going to use all of the tires.
Listen, silver linings. Silver linings. Chad Johnson will not be the crew chief at least. He'll just
let's start with the guy that finished behind his teammate that missed a race.
F.
John
F.
Hunter Nemechek. That was awful.
John Hunter Nemechek has so much talent, and god damn it, was he terrible this year.
That was awful.
This is, if anyone who was an F1 fan in the mid to early 2010s will kind of cringe at this, but like he really is the Pastor Maldonado of the Cup Series. Like unbelievably fast. John Hunter Nemechek is so talented. I don't think he knows how to finish a cup race without wrecking.
No, he's like good for like the first
reliably.
250 miles. It's almost like he's really good at the lower series, and then I don't know. I mean, he did finish to his credit. At the end of the year, he did put some good runs together after they did the crew chief changes over there
to fucking spite him, like to spite himself, like he like. I don't know.
Also, the rumors about Corey Haim like taking over for him randomly there in the last 5 weeks of the year, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here, an Eric Jones fan, like, please do not do this again to me, Toyota.
I think the thing that's going to sum up not only John Hunter's season, but Legacy's season in a nutshell was at the Roval, when I can't remember whoever it was who spun out, and then John Hunter just ran head on into him, and then Eric hopped over the curbs and just parked next to him, and they just kind of sat there for a moment.
Yeah. It was not a good year.
What's going on?
It was not a good year.
No.
Not a good year. Speaking of Eric Jones.
It was better.
Better, like a little bit.
Like,
yeah.
He's in D tier somewhere, right? Like it.
Yeah.
I think you can stick him right by Stenhouse.
I'm gonna put him ahead. I'm gonna just.
I'll let you do that.
I'm all right with that. Yeah.
Even though Stenhouse won a race.
Yeah, I mean, Eric was top 20 more than he wasn't.
Ricky Stenhouse just has that Stenhouse stink to him. Unfortunately. Where it's like, no, he won a race, but did he really, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Harrison Burton won a race this year. Are we really going to rank him that high?
That's true.
But to be fair to Eric, he did crank out some half-decent runs at tracks that, you know,
I still don't understand why they're changing the crew chief over there on the 43. I mean, I guess I get it, but like, I don't know.
I don't really know what they're doing at all.
I don't think they do either, to be fair. No. I think there's too many chefs in the kitchen, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not like the 43 is a historic number in the sport or anything, and Jimmy Johnson's slowly killing his own legacy in the sport or anything. I don't know. No, whatever.
Okay. I didn't realize it was a day for terminally online takes.
That was bait.
Night.
That was bait.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead. Chase Briscoe, he will be moving over to Joe Gibbs Racing next year. He, of course, walk-off win in the Southern 500. Had a really decent opening round of the playoffs. Got to the round of 12.
Yeah, and unfortunately had a nightmare round after that.
Yeah.
I think you put him behind Bubba and ahead of Carson.
That's exactly where I was thinking too. Yeah,
because he did win a race, but
I mean he hung around the playoff bubble all season. Was like a top 18
not
car.
Extremely consistent though.
Yeah,
just consistent enough to kind of stay around.
Mm-hmm.
The first third of their season was pretty strong, and then their summer was not great, but they still had good runs kind of checkered in there. But I mean, compared to last year, night and day difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Even without the win at Darlington, they're a top 20 team. So yeah,
I'm happy with that.
Denny Hamlin.
Huh.
This is a weird one because he won some races.
Started off the season strong, really strong.
When was his last win?
It was Dover race 11.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, B tier, top of B, but he's B tier, man. I don't know what to tell you.
I feel I don't know if I can put him below A, but
Denny Hamlin always gets so much hype going into the playoffs and never freaking delivers. Everyone's always like, "Oh, this might be his year. This might be his year." Is it ever going to be Denny's year? Will Denny ever deliver? He doesn't have FedEx anymore, so that whole tagline doesn't work anymore. So,
I will say, like, most years that they're very good in the playoffs. This was not a great playoff season for them.
No.
I mean, I'm just not looking. They did have 2 top 5s in the last round, but yeah, like, they were never really a factor at Martinsville to make the Final Four. Almost missed. I mean, he was on the outside looking in the round of 16 and round of 12 cutoff races. Like,
and that's why I argue you put him in B, because his expectations are to be that top 3 driver in the series, and he was not that this year.
I think he has to be top. Like, we cannot put anyone ahead of him at B.
No, sure, fine.
Because he won several races and he was strong. He's finished out the season strong despite not being in the Final Four.
That's
I was gonna say bottom of A or very top of B.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Denny is one of the best.
I want us to be selective with where we put these guys once we get towards the top. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to be a little selective. Okay. Ty Gibbs.
This one's tough.
This is definitely a tale of 2 halves, because they were on fire the first 12 weeks of the year.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And then I think 600 came around and they just crashed and burned.
Oh, yeah, they did. Oh my gosh.
That's how you know. Like, we were talking about Ty Gibbs, like, hey, is he going to win a race this year? He didn't.
Their last 5 races: 35th at the Roval, 30th at Vegas, 36th Homestead, 32nd Martinsville, 40th at Phoenix.
Good night,
Yikes.
Man.
And somehow not last in the playoffs.
I would put him in B just because his first part of the year was pretty good. He made the playoffs for the first time.
I think we put him behind Brad in B.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay.
I mean, they were one of the 2 teams that made it into the playoffs without a win, so that's definitely... Because, like, on full balance, I would say that Chastain and Buescher normally I would put above them, but I'm like, yeah, but he outright beat them in points, so...
Okay. Martin Truex Jr.
Another weird one to rank.
Behind Ty Gibbs. He had a worse season than him.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Good luck in the 500, Martin.
We'll be seeing you.
We'll be seeing you. Gone fishing. It was crazy that they had those gone fishing shirts at his merch trailer. It was insane. All right. This is the first driver that I'm going to make an argument to go into S tier, because Christopher Bell, now 3 years in a row,
don't gotta argue,
has made an argument that he is one of the top 2 or 3 drivers in the series.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ain't no argument to be made.
Right.
He is.
Easy.
Bell's run from Indy to the end of the season is absurd. They didn't win a race in that stretch, but damn near top 5 every week. So
it's a shame they didn't make the Final Four.
Yeah, this is the weird thing. It's like, I don't know who we're going to put at the top of this list, because I know we always put the champion there, but if there's ever been a year to make an argument to not, this is it.
Yeah, we're not putting the champion there. I can already tell you who's going to be at the top. He's coming up. All right. William Byron.
Not him.
Not him. This, again, is the tale of they were really good at the start of the year, and they just pewter out.
Yeah, I honestly think he had a more invisible season than Tyler Reddick, despite technically being a better season.
They were very strong in the playoffs, but
were they?
Like their stretch. Yeah, I mean, from Kansas to Phoenix, 2nd, 3rd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 6th, 3rd.
Okay.
I didn't even realize it was that good, to be fair.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Well, that's the thing is, like, he's a very unspectacular driver. Like, he's not, like, Kyle Larson's gonna get into some shit when he's on the track, and William Byron is not that type of driver. He's just gonna kind of lurk around 6th all day. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there was a stretch from between their last win at Martinsville and then when the playoffs start where they were kind of invisible. But yeah, like you mentioned, this is the weird thing about this year is nobody was consistent this year. Everybody was like really streaky for like a third of the year, and then they disappear.
Oh man, I think you got to put him just ahead of Tyler Reddick. Not that I would like to do that, but
I wanted to put him
I think
behind, but
I kind of want that too, but I don't know
Matt
if
just
you can.
convinced me with the playoff stuff.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's the tough thing. I was kind of leaning to behind
On
Reddick
the Windows
as well.
app, right? Okay, there we
But
go.
it's tough. Yeah.
Alex Bowman.
I like how we're all like William Byron. I really think we should put him behind Tyler Reddick, and then we're all like,
And then we don't.
but we're
we-
not gonna do
We
that.
have to put him ahead.
If only we had the
Yeah.
power to change this.
Alex Bowman, of course, won the Chicago street race in the rain. For the second year in a row, it rained in Chicago in July. Crazy.
Who could have seen that coming?
What? You're on the lake and it rained? What? Threat of darkness? We're starting a race at 3 p.m. local time and it might rain? What? It's because we want to put the concerts before the race, folks, even though we could do the
Okay,
concerts after
Alex
the race.
Bowman goes.
He is in B tier.
Definitely, which is kind of where he lives.
Put him right next to Justin Haley just to kick the bee's nest.
Behind Justin Haley? to like really kick the bee's nest?
I was gonna say ahead, but that's your decision. So
Put him ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, he should be ahead.
Put him ahead.
do actual discussion, like much better year than last year.
Yes.
Um,
Didn't break his back. That
didn't
helps.
didn't break his back. Didn't hurt his head.
Mhm.
So that's already an improvement. Minus the penalty at Texas, like they were leading the points when that happened. Don't want to talk about the Roval.
By all accounts, probably should have continued through the playoffs.
What happened
Yeah.
at the Roval?
We don't talk about it. Nothing happened.
Joey Logano.
Womp womp.
Chase Elliott. Best average finish of the season in the series.
Oh boy.
Broke his
Oh,
winless
boy.
streak with a win at Texas.
Oh boy.
That was the only race he won.
Again, I felt like I never saw Chase Elliott this year.
Well, he was very consistent, but he did not he was lower than like several drivers in basically every single statistic except for average finish.
He led only about 20 more laps than Joey Logano.
Yeah,
Is he ahead of Denny Hamlin or behind Denny Hamlin?
ahead because he had a much more consistent.
Is he in
season.
A tier or still in B tier?
He's in A tier because he had like I said, very very consistent.
Yeah.
And I think he has to go there purely for,
Hmm.
flashiness, playoffs, etc., being visible, yada yada yada.
Okay. Kyle Larson was the best driver this year.
I wonder where we're putting him.
There he is. Can't even
There's
see
no
F
debate.
tier anymore.
Hard to disagree. Yep.
Can't even see F tier anymore if you're watching on YouTube, which you have to be watching on YouTube. There's no audio version of this. F tier no longer exists.
Yep. Yeah, you're Corey LaJoy.
If you're Corey LaJoy, John Hunter Nemechek, or Austin Dillon, and you don't see yourself in this video, it's because you suck.
You've been banished.
Yeah, Kyle Larson, all the wins, poles, dominant.
Yep.
Just
I'm
did
not
not
even a
go
Kyle
his
Larson.
way at the end of the year.
Yeah. I'm not even a Kyle Larson glazer like that normally, but his season was so good. Honestly, if we wanted to
He-
add a tier that's just Kyle Larson above S tier, we could have done it. I wouldn't have been mad.
He-
Like,
I mean, he almost won the regular season title while missing a race.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yep.
No, I'm aware.
so.
His team did win the
It
regular
was
season
ridiculous.
points championship, though. Not that does
Justin
anything.
Allgaier, regular season Cup Series champion.
That's right.
Where are those shirts at, man? What the
I'm requesting one.
Um,
Justin Allgaier had the 6th highest average finish this year of all Cup drivers. By the
Shut
way.
up.
Anyway,
Harrison Burton.
S.
Put
Put him right up there. I love Harrison, but come on. We all
It was
know
horrible.
where he goes. It was terrible.
He goes in F tier. You know what?
He
Put him at
doesn't-
tail end D because he won a race.
He does not
Yeah,
go.
but Austin Dillon won a race.
Yeah, but Harrison Burton actually had to like use a little bit of skill to actually win the race.
That's true. But he also had like 3 top 10s.
Hey,
Wait, hang on.
don't hate the player, hate the game, man.
Harrison Burton had 2 top 10s this season, and they were both at plate tracks.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, man. I don't know what to tell you.
He had.
I don't tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
If you want to put him at the top of F, that's fine.
I'm not putting him at the top of F.
Okay.
If you win a race, you are not in F tier.
That's fair. Listen, I agree with
Except
that.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon did not win a race.
Encumbered doesn't count.
Cucumbers do not count. I hate cucumbers. Josh Berry is going to be taking over for Harrison Burton in the 21 next year.
I pray for this man.
You know, he kind of started the season with a little bit of pep. Not to say that he was very good, but he really started to suck at the end of the year.
At the end of the year, he really sucked.
I was gonna say they had, I think 4 or 5 top 10s, and they were all in the first half of the season. Like his last top 10 was Nashville, which was the halfway point. And he would kind of like every 6 or 7 races, Josh Berry would pop up and just kind of hang around to the top 10. But
he also couldn't finish those races either. You know? Like even when he had a good run, he ended up backwards a lot. Like he ended up wrecked or what have you.
Nashville comes to mind. Yeah.
Where's he going?
Daytona comes to mind. I would say bottom of C tier.
Yeah, behind Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah, he flipped at Daytona.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Defending series champion Ryan Blaney.
Ugh. I mean, I tell you what, man.
3 wins.
Really have a great year.
3 wins. Final 4 appearance.
Let me find his point or his numbers real quick.
Okay.
12 top 5s, 18 top 10s.
You want to know who else had 3+ wins in a Final 4 appearance?
The champion.
Yeah.
3 other guys actually.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
If you won more than 3 races, you did not make the Final 4.
Except if you're... Actually, yeah, you're right, because Joey Logano only had 3 at the time.
God
damn it.
I honestly, personally, I'm putting him behind Reddick.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I really wish we hated each other more and
I
stuff
know.
so we could argue properly, but we're just too nice.
Austin Cindric.
I look forward to doing this show too much. That's the problem.
He looks forward to this because he doesn't have to wrangle his co-hosts the whole time. And I know neither of them are going to watch this, so...
Dewey and Steven are assets. Especially Dewey. Dewey's an asset.
You can tell them about the 53-minute mark, 52-minute mark. See if they actually watch. Austin Cindric.
One race.
Did.
Yeah.
Did he make it out of the round of 16?
I believe so.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know,
Better than Ty Gibbs. Just saying.
That's a fair point.
Just saying.
Had a much worse season than Ty Gibbs overall, but
did win a race though.
Did win a race.
Gateway.
At Gateway.
Which is a playoff track next year.
Stick him behind Daniel Suarez.
Put him in the Final 4.
S tier?
Yeah, we gotta make another tier for Austin Cindric.
I think that's too high.
Yeah, because I think... So I'm looking at it right now, like, his first half of the year was nothing special, and then they started to put together some strong runs, like, when the playoffs started. Yeah, I think right around Daniel Suarez. They had very similar seasons.
Yeah.
And
Suarez and Cindric both benefiting greatly from that playoff bump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Last, but certainly not least...
Can we put the champion in C tier? Because that's where he feels like he belongs.
Joey Logano's top.
I mean, he had a C. If you don't count the fucking
the 4 wins that he had,
he's on par with like fucking Truex and Brad.
Joey Logano had an average finish of 17.1. Here's some drivers who had better average finishes:
full-time.
Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Alex Bowman, Chris Buescher. Also going to put Joey Hand and Justin Allgaier in that list too. Pushing a narrative. Right below him were Truex and Gibbs and Suarez and Kyle Busch. Like, Joey Logano was like a 15th place car all season at best.
I genuinely think we can put him somewhere in the middle of B tier, and I won't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, I'd put him below Justin Haley. Just
Do
fuck
it. Do it. Below Justin Haley. Yeah, fuck
I feel
you.
like Justin Haley has gotten like too big of a bump now from.
It's literally like the polar bear in Arlington, Texas, right now.
Maybe Justin Haley should drop a little bit.
Yeah,
Maybe he should drop a little bit.
maybe put him like right next to Hocevar. Now that
In front of him, in front of
Yeah.
Hocevar. I think that is more accurate. I do think expectations-wise, he did better than a C job, but also in the grand scheme of comparing him to every other driver in the field, you know.
Yeah,
That's how you know you went early. You know, it's like when you go out in qualifying and you go early. You know, it's a bad thing, but when you go out early in the tier maker, it's a good thing because we don't know where the lines are yet.
yeah.
Exactly.
Look at Justin Haley just went from what the
B to
ninth
C.
best driver of the year.
It's like that list that somebody put together where it was like the greatest F1 drivers of all time, and Giancarlo Fisichella was like 9th on it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No, not at all.
But that's great.
I'll have to dig it up. It's really bizarre.
So, according to the Fake Racers podcast, the best driver of the year was, of course, Kyle Larson. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Christopher Bell right there behind him.
The only guys in S tier both didn't make the final four. That's the kind of year it was.
Yeah. I remember saying, like, the 4 that got eliminated in the round of 8, the 4 that got eliminated and the 4 that made the final 4 could have swapped and it would have made more sense.
Yeah.
What a hot take that is. I didn't
Who's
read,
our
I didn't
new...
read
Wait.
that 1,000
Every year we
times.
have the Almirola line.
Oh,
Who's the Almirola line this year?
I did say a while back the Suarez index, and it kind of worked out that he's the end of B. And I mean, you look at it, Busher, Chastain, and Bubba, like, kind of disappointing season.
Oh my god!
And you look at Austin Cindric, and you're like, yeah, good year.
It is the Suarez line now. I cannot believe that worked out like that. That's awesome.
Do we have any? Does anybody have any changes they think they should make?
I feel like everyone should be able to make one change.
Okay,
We
go ahead.
all each have to make one.
Okay, go make a change.
Me
Who
make
wants
a
to go?
change?
Yep, go ahead.
I have to make a change.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm looking. I promise I'm looking.
I've got 2, and I'm trying to decide which one I care about more.
This is really funny.
I'm gonna use mine to say McDowell should be at the end of C. I think that feels right.
Ooh.
I don't know
okay.
if he was D tier. I think he was okay.
Okay, I'm gonna use mine to move McDowell back to D. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, we're using white elephant rules. You can't steal the same gift back.
I think. God damn. Why is that so funny? I say we move. You know what? I hate Chase Elliott, but I say we move Chase Elliott to the top of A because of his average finish.
All right.
Does that ruin the integrity of it too much? Is that too much?
How different was his average finish to William Byron's?
Like a full spot.
About a spot. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I'm just saying.
Joe, what are you feeling?
I'm moving Ricky Stenhouse ahead of Kyle Busch.
I mean, one driver did punch the other one, and one of them has a win and the other one doesn't, so it is kind of hard to argue with that.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a longer years with a win streak than Kyle Busch does. Just think about that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved that we just did that. That was my favorite addition to this ever.
The best part too is I don't even think Kyle Busch drove that poorly this year, but yeah, it's expectations is why he's that low.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, and throughout all that, the Suarez line remains true.
Yeah, it really does.
No one hopped the Suarez line. Or the fence, as it were.
Well,
folks, again,
this is it. These are the grades. These are the official grades.
That's right.
If you don't agree, you're actually just wrong.
Yeah.
We'll post the link to this down below if you want to fill out your own and tweet at Fake Racers on X.
Mine's just going to be the the Jeb Bush winning the entire nation map, but it's all Harrison.
Folks, again, we can't thank you for watching, for listening, for laughing along with us this year on the Fake Racers podcast. We'll be back in end of January, probably beginning of February, right around the Clash from Bowman Gray. Oh boy, Madhouse.
Yeah,
This week over on JTN, finale of Maverick Night in America on JTN from Homestead, kicking off 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be on Tuesday, November 19th. Davey, what you got going on?
Well, I finally decided to try and stream on a Wednesday. Everything was working great, and I wrecked lap 1. So tune in this week to watch me stream again, and hopefully I last more than 15 minutes.
Maybe we'll make it to lap 2 this time.
Yeah. I was really happy about it.
Oh my god.
Joe. Yoo-hoo. You in there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just thinking.
What you think about?
Life. Pursuit of
Yeah.
happiness.
Okay.
Matt, what you got going on?
We got Oof Sides coming up. This week's going to be good.
Maybe I'll make a guest appearance.
Yeah. Yeah, come on the show.
I
Do it!
don't think I have the attention span to do 2 hours of football, though.
We can just bring you on for the Lions segment if you want. I'll tag you, so.
You need to, Joe. You need to be on the show.
I
Yeah.
do it once.
Bring on our
You need
Lions
to.
correspondent.
And Joe, since you're the big boss man, when everyone's you can keep it below like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. You can keep it below all that. So it'll be great.
Do you think I really have any control over those guys?
Well, you know.
I asked Dewey to show up for broadcast, and he's like, I'm busy. You know? And it's like, and then I see him on Discord doing something else, and I'm like, were you busy, bud?
He's like, I'm playing Minecraft.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically.
Money, Minecraft. Minecraft wins, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can come on Oof Sides, partake in our creative writing exercise that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
That has been very good. I've enjoyed
Dewey's
that.
been writing poetry.
I've enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's been a good time.
God.
There's so many missed field goals this week. I can't wait to talk about how bad kickers are now. So that'll be fun.
Are kickers worse now? Is that a meta?
It's been a really bad year for kickers.
That's
There's
awesome.
been a lot of missed field goals.
I love that a lot.
Actually, I can probably look it up right now. But Justin Tucker, who is the most accurate kicker of all time, missed multiple kicks last week. So.
Awesome. I love like sporting anomalies like in a season. It's good stuff.
So yeah, that was a podcast.
Joe.
Thank you,
How you
folks, for watching, for listening, for doing whatever you've done to help support us here on the Fake Racers podcast this year. We hope you join us next year. We hope you go back and watch all the episodes again in the off season because you miss us so much. And we will see you guys next time on the Fake Racers podcast. Have a happy holidays, everybody. We'll see you next year.
Bye.